Hello, I'm trying to be more enthusiastic. And I am enthusiastic about this. I'm enthusiastic about all my videos and what I need to do better. I think I had the horror of looking at some of my old ones, and I realized I really got to get the point. And the point of this video is going to be a video on unleveraging to find taking a sample of companies and finding the ungeared or unlevered beta, okay, and then relevering the beta. And this is part of the series, and I have a advanced lesson sets on cost of capital, and I put kind of the equations that I believe have really proved that a lot of this crap and this squiggly formulas you get is just a bunch of junk. You can prove what really works with a little Excel model. That's a theme. Now, on this one, the next one I'm going to be talking about circularity and the WACC and all this. That's a non-issue. This one I'm going to talk about how the beta on the debt affects all the unleveraging and releveraging, ungearing and regearing the calculations. Now, to start with, I want you to look. You don't have to do anything. Ridiculous. I don't want you to do anything. Don't even care if you could keep watching the video. It's up to you. All right? Here's what I'm going to do. What I'm trying to do, by the way, is make a set of, I hope you like this. You don't have to pay for it, but your company pays just a tiny little bit. They record how much of these videos you watch, and if you watch these videos, you get credit, and you get a higher raise. Well, I don't know about that, but all right. Now, if we go to chapter number 1, and in chapter 1, if you go to the cost of capital and financial ratios, here's something I think you really should look at. I don't care if you have Bloomberg or whatever the Standard and Poor's thing is. I don't even know what it's called. All these, wonderful programs that automatically download the data. Let's say you got fired, and you still want to make your own business. Or who cares? Or let's say you're still working for one of these places that has Bloomberg. Here's what you do. Here, you just type in shit. You type in right here. You type in I'm gonna. How about this? Let's make this some kind of nice blue color or something. Okay. All right, so you type in the ticker symbols, and you have to be really careful to figure out whether you're going to get them from MarketWatch or Yahoo, because those are the two sheets. Oh, shit, I'm not answering that phone. It's my homeless friend who I help out, and he's going to call about 12 times while I'm on this video, and I'm going to have to delete his phone call. Now, what I did just for this video, I went and I said, okay, we might want to get the net debt to capital. See, I told you. And then, now what the only problem is, it just takes a minute to calculate. So this is the book, net book to capital for different beer companies, and we have ranges from 53 to, oh shit, I told you, I'm not stopping this video. I don't care. You'll have to watch this crap. And then I have a second page which goes through, and in addition to that has some credit ratios, so we can look at the debt to EBITDA of all of these companies. And I'm working a little more on credit analysis because I go to like the Mongolia Banking Association. That seems to be my big client. I think I have a good business in Mongolia and in Pakistan. That's where I go to teach credit analysis. And I have some very radical, I hope, opinions on credit analysis that I'll go through elsewhere. But this gives you the debt to EBITDA. So we have some people with no debt. And then we have somebody down here. This looks like a Mexican company that must have done some sort of leveraged buyout with a really high debt to EBITDA, and then we can look at the debt to capital as well. Now that's really the subject of this video, because the debt to capital, the debt to capital should influence the beta on the debt, and whether we use the market debt to capital or book debt to capital is an important issue, particularly because Standard & Poor's, who rates the things AAA, AA, single A, they use book debt to capital, but you really, in your formulas, you need market debt to capital. So don't think I don't know that one. Okay, and then we can use the FFO to debt. And what I should do is have an automatic reformatting. Of course, there are 100 of videos where I go through how to make a drop-down box and all of this. The key thing about this file is it goes through and you just download about hundreds of pages, literally hundreds of pages. I'm not there yet. You go here, you download the treasury bills, then the income statement, the summary page. You get everything. You go buy Bloomberg for 30,000, make somebody a billionaire, or make me a person who can't afford my car is 93. It's a 93 car, as if you give a crap. Okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. Finally, I'm getting to the point, I promised, but the key points, I hope I've made some key points, is that you go and get a database. Oops, I went too fast. And then we have our cost of capital using our different methods. My favorite that nobody will ever use is this one that says a zero intercept on the market to book ratio. Of course, that's not in your finance books. And then let's go to the capital asset pricing model. Now in the capital asset pricing model, I ran through this. If you watched one of the earlier videos, which I doubt you ever got past this. But then we take every company's equity beta. Now this equity beta just comes from over here. And this, if you want to trace where they come from, you know how to do this. If I want to find where Carlsberg's came from, you press Control and the square bracket near the P. It takes you there. You don't use this precedent thing. And then it says, well, we take it from, and there's a special function. I told you this guy's going to keep calling. It's a long story. I'll tell you as if you give a crap. Not now. Now, this one comes from, all of this stuff comes from, if you really see, you see the indirect. It comes from the Yahoo summary sheet, essentially. These are the Yahoo reported betas, which come from somebody else who probably makes some sort of adjustment, and you might as well compute them yourself. Okay, but that's how it works. So we take this one, transfer it over. Whoops, I'm on the wrong page. We get the equity beta, and then we get the debt to capital for the company. Okay, hopefully the debt to capital is relatively constant. Now I call this a gross debt to capital. Then we get the tax rate for every company. And then we can get the cost of the gross, just 1 minus the debt is the equity. Then we can compute the tax shield as the debt to capital multiplied by this tax rate. We get a net, after we do that, we get a net equity and a net debt capital that capitalization, part of the capital structure. And this time I kept a constant debt beta, and we get the asset beta from the debt beta. And then from that we can get the, well, I put the equity cost of capital, which is just, that's kind of unnecessary. What we really want then is this average asset beta, which is somewhere up here, all right? And then I hope it's in column X. Oops, it takes a minute to recalculate. Excuse me for that. It's a big file. If you complain about this, get a faster computer maybe. I don't know, these gaming computers must be fast. And then put a debt beta in, and then you re-leverage the beta, and you finally get your cost of equity. All right? That's the key file. And you can have files on all sorts of different industries. I think it's wonderful. I don't know why nobody wants to do this. What a waste of time. I looked at this file and thought, God, I worked a lot on this file. Now, this isn't the file we want. The file we want right now is a file. I think I'm just going to go into my recent sheets, and I'm working on a street lighting case, as if you care. And then I'm going to go on to the not the credit benchmarks. I hope I can find one that's called debt beta, and that's the one you want to find. Not tax equity analysis. Oh no. Debt beta, okay? And I'm going to have to pause and find it. Just a minute. Okay, here's debt beta. Now, when I open this, you remember, if you want to find this debt beta, here's, oh, you don't care about the French radio. If you want to find this debt beta, you go to the cost of capital section, my new little piece, and notice I put lesson sets, and if you complete and watch all the videos, and it's part of the second lesson set, and it's not here right now, but it's going to be right here. I'm going to put all our new cost of capital files and our files right there. Just give me a day. Right by the time you watch this video, it should be there. Now what I did is I just copied this from the other file. And now let's relever and unlever the beta. Now finally I'm getting to kind of the point. The point is, how much of a difference does this debt beta thing really make? So let's make a checkbox. Okay, now the only problem with this checkbox, they're obvious, is just you use true and false. Anybody who has a yes or no in their sheet should be, I don't know, I'm not going to be violent, should be yelled at. How's that? Okay? Come on. So, something seems to be slow now. Oh no! Okay, and then we're going to use this true and false as an input. That's what I had done before. And let's name this checkbox. This is the big problem with it. Sometimes its naming is pain. We'll call this constant debt beta. And we're going to compare what the constant beta is. I'm shouting a little bit, but that makes me more enthusiastic. I had that horror of watching some of my videos, and it was so boring. It was 0.15. Sometimes people use 0, so we can see what happens when people use 0. Now, if I have generic macros open, which I seem to do, okay, then I can Shift Control C, and we can see at least what's a input and what's going to be a formula. Now, we'll just do this very quickly. 1 minus the gross debt to capital is that. And then we take our tax rate and multiply that by the debt, not the equity. That's kind of the tax shield. And then the equity is the equity capital divided by 1 minus the tax shield. Okay? And then we take 1 minus this and get the net, and we use those nets for here. Now here's the big formula. We don't use, and when I'm computing the debt beta, I'm going to use the gross debt to capital. So let's first put if this is a constant. You could put a range name here, you know. I'm mainly anti-range names, but I don't believe it's as big a political issue as circular references. If anybody says the world doesn't go up and down and always stays and always progresses upward instead of reverting back and coming backwards, they're wrong. It's a very important issue, circular references. Let's use the linear interpolation. I've told you that before, so I'm not going back here. And then we'll take the debt to capital. And this time, to be a little more careful, I'm going back to our debt to capital sheet. Notice that first I put a minus 100. And then I said, well, let's take the market debt beta. It's not hard. We just take what we think the market to book rate right now is. I put 1. And then I'm going to change that. So if we have a higher market to book ratio in the Standard & Poor's, that's how we can adjust from the market to book to the market. So it just increases the equity ratio. So if you have 2, it doubles the equity ratio compared to the debt ratio. And that's our formula. So if we have constant debt beta, we get that. If we don't, we get this one. And then the asset beta is just, you can almost remember it. If you put these net things down, it's the debt beta times the net debt to capital that already counts for the tax rate, plus the equity times the equity beta, which is what we started with right here. And that's really what we want. I'm going to delete these two. I don't give a crap about these two. We want to get the asset beta. Okay, and then we can double click on this, and then we get all of our asset betas, and nous sommes terminés. Je dois parler encore peu meilleur de français. Okay, now let's take this and make our relevering. And let's put, the first thing, we'll put a debt to capital. So let's say our debt to capital is how about 35%? Let's say our tax rate is 40%. Okay, if that happens, then, and this is our gross. Okay, that means that's what we observe. Okay, maybe I should do this thing that my friend Dennis always says, oh, go make it go backwards like this. And then let's put the beta on the assets. Okay, and we take this one. So, put a average. Okay. I'm sure, I wonder if in the CFA they make you do this kind of stuff. Now, once we have the beta on the assets, don't do what I say, obviously. Then let's put the gross equity, which is just 1 minus the debt, and then we put the tax effect, and then that's just the tax rate times the debt to capital, and then we have the net equity, which is the 1 minus the net. I'm sorry, which is the equity divided by 1 minus the tax rate effect. And then we have the net debt, which is just 1 minus come on. Okay, so far, and I'm just doing this as we go along, so now we can have once we have the asset beta, which, did I put in here? Yeah, I put the asset beta. Then we can put the equity beta. Okay, let's do this thing again. And that's going to be, and then we need the debt beta. Okay, and the debt beta is going to be if, again, it's true over here. So we put our little true. Then we say we'll take this constant debt beta. That's the issue, whether we should take a constant one, and otherwise we go to interpolate, and I'll use the interpolate linear again, I think that's what I used, and then we start with our gross debt to capital, and then we go back and we do our same kind of analysis. So we put all of our debt to capital. It's negative because you could have like Apple, you know, all this cash on your balance sheet that you somehow use with the double Irish to not pay taxes, and then you once you I'm sorry, then you could have a negative number. So then we can get our beta on the equity, and then we have to, I suppose, put an equity market risk premium and a risk-free rate. Big stupid deal. Let's go to the red sheet and get this one. And then let's go to someplace and get our risk-free rate, which we've been using. I don't know where that was. Okay, there we go. Shift Control C. Hopefully that should be a red one, you know. And didn't paint that other page. So the equity beta is 1 minus the debt beta multiplied by the net debt, not the gross debt, divided by the net equity. Okay? That's our equity beta. And then our cost of equity, finally, that's what we've been looking for. And that's just the equity beta multiplied by the equity market risk premium. You've learned this in when you were 8 years old. Remember, I'm sure they told you it when you were 8 years old. And that's our Nobel Prize winning capital asset model. It really doesn't even work. Okay? All right. Now, here's the big test. It's probably not going to show much. When we switch from constant beta, made a little bit different, to equity beta, we get a big difference. If we put 0 in for the constant beta, then we get a 7.29, whereas we get a lower equity beta when we put this in. If we put 0.5 in as the equity beta, it goes the other way. But if you use a low equity beta, you can kind of see how it all works. Now, it's probably fairly realistic. It didn't make an enormous difference. All right. If we had an industry with more gearing, and you really put 0 in for the debt beta, you can kind of see how it is. The other thing, the key thing here is that it's not all that difficult. You need to interpolate. And finally, let's look at this thing and correct for the market to book ratio. So we maybe in the industry the price to book ratio is 2 because everybody's earning more than their cost of capital. So now when we have a constant beta, we get 7.29. Whoops, let's put a 0.1 in for a constant beta. Did I just change that? Yes, 0.1. And then if we put a varying cost of beta, we get not much difference. But I don't care about that, really. I care about doing things right. And that is it about unlevering and relevering the beta. And if you want to be very precise and very correct, you should do this. Let's make it a little smaller so you can kind of see the whole thing. All right, and it uses that other file, which is just collecting all the data. I couldn't have even imagined doing this in a few minutes, years ago. It all sounded so sophisticated and difficult. So this is a debt beta spreadsheet, and I am saying goodbye.